Hello, this is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments now so I can answer your questions. That's what I'm here to do. I also share really good news that we get, especially in this during this bleak time where there's a lot going on and a lot of uncertainty. I always like to share good news. So today we got our marriage based green card petition approved without an interview. So we got the decision on Friday, so that we're very happy. And it means one more life changed, one more family in this case, ready to move forward with their lives. So that is the good news that we've gotten today. That today it was a rainy day outside, but it certainly cheered me up and brought sunshine into my day today. So there's a lot going on in the news right now regarding immigration, and of course a lot of scary things. So over the weekend, those of you who are residing in Tennessee have seen that the local law enforcement, so state law enforcement, and ICE conducted a lot of traffic stops and detained many immigrants as a result of those traffic stops. And keep in mind, this is happening everywhere. Our client that was just detained, who we have gotten out of ICE through a bond, was, well, actually, each of the clients that we have had to work on to get out of ICE were actually detained through really, really minor traffic violations. So they are detaining people, who mostly people who are driving, and then they ask for their identification. Then through the kind of identification that they're providing, usually maybe an international driver's license, they're realizing that the person doesn't have their status. And at that point, the local state law enforcement as well as ICE start to ask more questions about their identity, their status, and if they suspect that the person does not have their current legal status, then at that point they are detaining them, or local law enforcement are arresting them for minor traffic violations and then holding them so ICE can pick them up. So that is the pattern that I'm seeing. It's mostly a lot of traffic stops. So, once again, if my clients were able to work with me and I was able to work with them, it's a nerve wracking situation, but the way they take my information and they take my advice into consideration, and that makes my job a lot easier. So, as I've said before, first of all, I know that it's a very scary situation, but do not panic. Don't run. Don't speed off. Don't drive your car off and end up in a high speed chase. Um, Make sure that you answer questions with, "I would like to exercise my right to remain silent." You can provide them your identification, because in some states you do have to still provide your identification, which would be a valid driver's license if you're driving. But other than that, if they start to ask about where were you born, where are you from, at that point, you do not have to answer any questions. You can exercise your right to remain silent. All of us have that right. And that is to ensure it is not, no, I've heard a lot of people say, that won't work. You're going to be taken in anyway because you're giving them a hard time. Keep in mind that the purpose of the right to remain silent is not necessarily to stop an arrest. I mean, I can think of maybe ways that it could possibly, but it if it also preserves your rights through the process. If you admit anything you say can be used against you, in immigration court, in criminal court. So that means if you say too much, it may take away your right to a defense in the future. And this is a constitutional right. It's not anything that you're doing wrong. Everybody has the right to remain silent. Everybody has the right not to incriminate themselves. Right. So at that point, I would say, other than providing them the identifying documents, you make sure that you stick to your right to remain silent. Do not sign anything. As we can see now, things are getting a lot more serious. The administration, they were just minutes away from putting people on a plane and sending them to Libya, which is known for slavery. And now they're in talks with Rwanda. Now, a federal court judge has said that they cannot send anybody out to third countries while the litigation is going forward. But this is what's happening. And a lot of these people were tricked into signing documents. So do not sign anything until you can get the advice of your attorney. The only thing you should be saying is, I would like to speak to my attorney, right? You would like to speak to your attorney. If you have been arrested by local law enforcement and put in a jail, you need to request an attorney, right? When you're being charged with criminal offense, you can be assigned an attorney, but you have to make that clear, right? Because what happens is, and what really makes the cases successful is, sometimes in cases like where the client is arrested for criminal or traffic violations, at the same time they're being detained, you need to make sure that you have a criminal defense attorney that's working to clear your case. So that if you're found, if it's dismissed, if you're found innocent, then that means that you would not be found deportable, because that has been taken off your record. So don't just focus on the immigration, but you also have to focus on the criminal. It all comes together. So there is a lot going on. So what I say though is, based on our approvals in the past couple of weeks, there's also hope. And that means that as I focus on solutions, you should focus on solutions as well. They are there, but I can't help you unless you call us and you start with our initial evaluation, so we can see what relief is available for you. All right. And we are running a 24-hour phone line to ensure that we talk to as many people and we're available to as many people, no matter the time. So you can call us at any time of the day, 24/7, to see if, discuss your options. All right. So, questions. Hi there. Good night on YouTube, Facebook. Damien, Karen, Michelle, and Mike. It's nice to see you. And thanks for those of you who are joining me on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. Hello, everybody. And TikTok. It's nice to see you. All right. So, I'm going to scroll through and answer questions. And so, hi, Sheriff. Are there delays with work permits first time application? It depends on what kind of work permit. So, we just got a work permit in 2 months. So, they are going forward, but it depends. So, we are seeing delays in certain areas, delays with pending T visas, delays with VAWAs. So, and it's usually slow. It's usually a 6 to 12 month range to get the work permits there. I wouldn't say it has gone outside of that range. So it's just about the same. About, I would say, 8 to 10 months timeline to get the work permits through VAWA. So where we are seeing a delay, so receipt notices are coming in 12 weeks. So anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks. So we are seeing delays there with receipt notices. So if you're experiencing it, it may not be anything out of the ordinary. But what we do is we verify tracking, so we know it got there. You need to make sure you know whether your documents got there. Hi there. Hi there. C. Knox. It's nice to see you. I received my work permit and social last year, January. Still yet to get an interview date for a green card. I first filed December 2023. So yeah, I don't know what the holdup could be. Just make sure that they haven't sent you anything like a request for evidence, because yeah, it's hard to say unless I really know your case. I recently married. Do we need to find an attorney in the same state we reside in, or state or any state will do? Also, what should I look for when selecting the attorney of choice? So, immigration attorneys can work nationwide. For example, I represent clients all over the country. And so, no matter where you are, we can assist. So, it really depends on your comfort level. I find we work very well with our clients, and when our clients need us, we're there for them. There are some challenges if you prefer face-to-face meetings, that having your attorney in a different state is going to be a challenge, and maybe you would want to look for something like that. But in this day and age, it's far more efficient to we work remotely for the most part, and it's far more efficient. We get a lot more done that way. um, you want to look for an experienced immigration attorney. Make sure that you're looking at what exactly they do. Look at the way that the attorney conducts their firm. What's the firm like? What are the resources available to the law firm? So here at ST Law Office, we have multiple attorneys. We have a large staff, and each of our clients have a large team that assists them. So we have about 3 or 4 team members on each of our clients' cases, just to ensure that they're taken care of, that they're well informed, that each step of the stage in their case, it's done properly and with care and expertise. So you want to make sure. So, for example, if your case is complex, or you find that the attorney is overburdened, you may not get the same level of care or consideration. The attorney may not be able to distribute their attention across all the clients unless they have the staff and the back end to do that. So that's also very important. um, so think about what you want, what you need, and then start talking to attorneys, and you'll get a feel for the right attorney. You can always give us a call as well. I got my green card and I'm scared to fly out of the country. I definitely understand your fear. If you have any doubts, you can always make sure you consult with an attorney to, just ensure you're not at an increased risk. But I definitely understand the fear right now. So bona fide determinations are taking about 2 to 3 months to get. I was in Jamaica in January. Is it safe to go back? It depends on what's in your background. No interview is amazing. Yes, yes, we were very surprised, because right now they are scheduling interviews, but our client, the case was so strong, they went ahead and approved it without the interview. You said if we have felonies, we are at risk to get deportation, and at the same time, my felony was in 1992. Is there any chance of getting my citizenship? You, I would say at this point, definitely get in touch and let's talk about what your background has. Now, when it comes to cases like with criminal offenses, it's not going to be a situation where we can just say it right off the top. You don't have to worry. We have to check the statute in the state, the statute under which you were convicted. We have to on a timeline of the conviction. What was the law at the time? Is it still reflecting, or could it still reflect on your good moral character? Or was it a deportable offense? As in, at that time, should you have been subjected to deportation? Will they find that and then deny the citizenship? So it really does take some investigation. It is worth your time to definitely have us do that, because it's very involved. We have to understand all the facts involved. So that is very specific. This is what I would tell you. When you have a green card that does not have the right middle name or doesn't have the correct name on it, it would be very risky to travel on that card, because sometimes you end up going to the country. Say, I don't know which country you're from, but you go to your country, and when you're trying to get back, the people in your country are trained on what to look out for. And if that green card doesn't match your passport, they may not allow you to get back on the plane. You're going to have to go through hoops to get back on the plane. And with this current administration, Lord knows if because what they will do is they will contact the US and verify whether that card, if it's okay for you to board the plane with your green card not having the name match. Well, you can just imagine how that can go wrong, right? Where you're denied entry, denied even to go on a plane with an incorrect name on your green card that does not match your passport. What I would say is, in this case, I would definitely see if you could get what's called an I-551 stamp in your passport that can allow you to have your proof of your residence in your passport. So you can use that. If the green card isn't going to be accepted, you can show you have the I-551 stamp, and that serves as permanent residence, proof of permanent residence too. To get that, you have to schedule an appointment. And of course, you'd have to point out that you can't use the card because it has an incorrect name. Is it safe to travel with my VAWA advance parole? I have no criminal record. However, my visa was overstayed. Also, the processing time has been increasing for VAWA. Yes, it has been. And I can. What I would say is I cannot, unless you're a client, and if you're a client, you definitely need to talk to us individually. But I cannot give you personalized legal advice on this platform. So I would say talk to your attorney. At this time, it's not safe to travel on advance parole. You face an increased risk. Advance parole definitely does not give you the same protections as a green card. A green card holder has far more protections than advance parole. It's just a travel document that says, yeah, an officer can let you back in, but if they find anything that they renders you inadmissible, they don't have to let you in. And so it could complicate your case. So be very careful. Hi there, Veronica. VAWA approved 1 year now, an hour fee for medical for I-45, received 8 months now. How long for decision? So it varies from case to case, but I have been seeing about 4 months average time, but that does not mean that that's going to happen in your case, because every case is different. Bona fide for U visa, how long can I get a work permit? So I would say a year and a half to 2 years. My brother married to US citizen wife a month before his I-94 expired and currently undocumented by 5 months. Should there be concern if he decide to file AOS? So normally, if he overstayed his visa but applied for AOS based on a US citizen spouse, no. Generally, that's usually happens that way. But is there anything in particular in your brother's background? That's the real concern. And that's where you need to get legal representation for sure, at least at a minimum, a strategy session or a legal consultation to talk through all your facts so that we can understand. The reason that's important is, for example, we have the 90-day presumption. That means that if you get married, or you get married, or you file papers within 90 days of your entry, there could be the presumption that you intended to do that to begin with, and they can charge someone with misrepresentation or fraud based on that. And that, so you we would want to talk to you to figure out sequence of events, facts, to be able to properly advise. You're welcome, Charles. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for all your help. Oh, you're welcome. I'm married for 4 years. Last year, we applied for my green card and it got approved in 2 months without interview. Is there a chance of getting it canceled? It's unlikely. Now, if you got 2 year green card, I don't know if you did, but if you got a 2 year instead of a 10 year, then you want to make sure you follow all the procedures to then apply for removal of conditions to go from the 2 year to the 10 year. We are going to Brazil in July, and I'm afraid of something happening on our way back. Of course, that's a valid concern. And I would just say make sure you check on your background. Make sure, so if there's anything of concern in your background, criminal record, past major immigration violations other than an overstay, then we'll start there. Those are the big concerns. Just make sure there's nothing that you have that's doubtful. I can't tell you specifically to travel because I'm not your attorney, but I would say that you need to start there with at least getting advice about your background. I applied for N400. I had a DWI a year ago, but it got dismissed. Would this cause me to be denied? So one DWI should not. But listen, I can't give you a particular legal advice. I can't tell you that it won't. You must get personalized legal advice. As I said before, anything to do with criminal offenses, you need to make sure you are covering yourself. In this, I could definitely see where an officer could try to stop you from getting citizenship based on something like this, but it was dismissed. So, I mean, you don't have a guilty, you shouldn't have a guilty plea, or you weren't found guilty, so you weren't convicted. And that means that you can argue that it does not go against your good moral character. I had an overstay before getting the green card. So they definitely usually consider your overstays before you get the green card. So they want to use it against you after the green card. So, but keep in mind that I can't tell anybody here, and you should not take any information or advice from anybody on here saying, go for it, you're okay. Um, you need to make sure you talk to an attorney. Good day. As asylum seeker, when applied for work authorization, how long it takes to get it as of now? So still 180 days, and that's under the rules. So you should be okay. My friend waiting on his I-485 from 2023, they asked to send medical. He did that. What should he do? So he make sure that the medical got there. It should be fine. So with the middle name, I'm going to stick to what I'm saying here. Yes, one letter is missing, but it's still incorrect. If it's always your decision whether you want to take that chance, but I already said what I need to say about that. To stay on the side of caution, make sure all your T's are crossed, I's dotted, including that green card, having all the correct information on it. How long is the wait time for travel permit VAWA application? November 2024, received work permit already. So you're looking at 3 years and it's increasing. Are wait times increasing? Yeah, I would say slowly it's creeping up, and we're gonna expect that because they're putting in processes that are just naturally gonna delay the process. They are checking social media accounts now, and they said that's expected to add 286,000 hours more into the processing of cases before it's approved. So you can just imagine. Yes, I think it's gonna go there eventually. I hope not, but that's what's happening. Um, can I still travel on my extension? So, yeah, as a green card holder, that extension is there as proof of your permanent residence. Make sure you have the original with your card, your expired card, in order to travel, and your passport. But as I said before traveling, just make sure that you are not at an increased risk to be detained, or to be denied entry, or to be referred for removal. Can you apply for NIV being an RN as an international student on OPT? I don't know if that's NIW, so the non immigrant visa. So I think that's the NIW that you're talking about. So just solely being a nurse may not get that for you, get you the NIW. You have to have certain kind of experience. Usually you have to have an advanced degree. So it's going to be a master's or a doctorate, PhD, or you have to show exceptional ability in your area. So that's the first thing. Then once we determine that, then they're going to also look at other factors, like are you going to achieve a goal that's of substantial merit and national importance? Do you have the means to achieve the goal? Do you have the experience, the backing, the people who can talk to, basically give feedback about the level of experience and how achieved you are in your area. And then the last is you'll have to show. Now, keep in mind, by the way, an RN, so a nurse, not registered nurse, but a nurse, actually registered nurse. I'd have to check, but nurses can apply for the green card without necessarily going through the labor certification process. So that is a benefit that nurses can, if they have the sponsor, an employer who's willing to petition for them, they don't have to go through the labor certification process. So that may be a benefit to you. How long is the I-751 waiting time now? It's about 4 years, 2 to 4 years, I would say. Visitor's visa, applying for asylum. Do I still over my visa if I have submitted my case? So yeah, you're still in a gray area where you have overstayed it. Yeah. Now they don't hold it against you as long as you applied for it. So it stops on all unlawful presence accrual, meaning that they're not gonna add the time that you're overstaying. So you would not have, say, unlawful presence over 180 days if you filed before your status, or filed under 180 days um, after you overstayed. So as long as you don't show that, or you applied before the 180 days, after the expiration of your visa or the overstay, then you would not accrue unlawful presence at that point. But you don't have status, so you're in this gray area right now. Not having financial relationship with my U.S. spouse is a major concern in green card case. Yes, it's going to raise questions, and it can potentially even lead to intent to deny. And so you really have to make sure that you're providing, if you're deficient in certain areas, because maybe for example, you don't have a financial relationship or you don't have a joint bank account. But say, how do you exchange money? I oftentimes, when my married clients, they still want to keep their financial independence, but they still have to coordinate. What they do is do things like they sell each other money to pay the bills. And so that's how they, figure out how to pay expenses. So maybe you don't have the traditional financial relationship, but you may exchange money to be able to fulfill certain obligations. That's where you need to focus, show your proof that you are sending each other money, or who sends money to who to pay the bills. Um, so every case is different. And I would just say, what's going on in your case, and how can you show that to the officers to exhibit the marriage and how you're planning, how you're living your lives together. I have an I-751 interview and my husband don't want to go for the interview. What can I do? Great question. So if it depends on why your spouse doesn't want to go, but usually in cases where your spouse does not want to go, I mean, and this is your future here in the United States depends on your spouse going to that interview. That's definitely a red flag for mistreatment. And so if you're experiencing that and they don't want to go to the interview, it's urgent at this time. You need to apply for a waiver, or you need to make it clear to the officer that you need a waiver, based on mistreatment, based on, at this time you're still married, so it wouldn't be based on divorce. But, if you're experiencing mistreatment, then now is the time to explore that. You can definitely give us a call. I don't know when your interview is, but usually in cases like this where the spouse doesn't show up to the interview, you you would have to make it very clear to the officer that your spouse is not present because you intend to apply for a waiver. Sometimes the officers will accept the waiver verbally, and say, okay, what waiver are you going with? And if you explain you've been mistreated, then they can put for the abuse waiver. If you're filing for divorce, you can let them know you're filing for divorce, and they would send you a request for evidence to get the final divorce decree. Or you're applying based on extreme hardship. That means that in the past 2 years that you had your green card, or the past number of years, or the 2 years between when your green card was approved and when it expired, you have to show that something developed that if you went back to your country, you will experience extreme hardship. For example, did you have U.S. citizen children here now? Do you have a whole family? Do you have home? Do you have a business in the past few years? Then that can add up to extreme hardship if you were to leave the country. So get in touch though. Let's see how we can help you. For sure, we help our clients with this, and we actually got our client approved within a year and a half, who faced the same situation, but as soon as she saw this situation, she called for help, and so it went very smoothly. Visitor's visa, applying for asylum, do I still overstay my visa if I have submitted my case? I answered that. I overstayed my visa and married a US citizen. Is it possible to adjust status? Yes, absolutely. We just got one approved. Give us a call. That's exactly what we do. No, you have to be married to a US citizen. If you're married to a green card holder, you either have to wait for them to be a citizen, or there's the I-601A waiver process as well. One get in trouble today at the airport for I-751 pending while her 2-year green card is expired. She needs to make sure she travels with the extension. That's very important. Need to have the extension with the expired green card. The extension is a letter they send after you apply to go from the 2-year to the 10-year. They send a receipt notice, and that receipt notice has the 48-month extension. Hi there, Ferdinand. How can you contact the office? If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the number going across the screen. Call that number and you can definitely get in touch, or use the link in the profile. You can also um, go ahead and click on the link and you can fill out a form and we'll get in touch with you as well. Yeah, so yeah, we're in this area where, so why did they implement the new T visa policy on work permit, and do you think they'll scrap it? So I have seen them come through, but they're coming through slowly. They're trickling through. I still want to have that policy in place for work permits to be issued while the T visa is pending. But will it be scrapped? We will see. We'll see. Anything is possible. But this is where I say get on it now before they scrap it. If you apply now, it means you preserve your right to get that work permit, but under the current policy. But as soon as, if you're applying after the change of policy, then that's where the problem is going to be. Can you get an aided stamp if your I-364 pending for 2.7 years? No, an aided stamp is a green card stamp, so you wouldn't be able to get that. You have to be a green card holder first. So thank you. Someone tell him to do ombudsman, but what do you think? The ombudsman, unfortunately, is no longer available. They've shut down the USCIS ombudsman's office. So unfortunately, there's no ombudsman right now. You may have to go through your congressperson instead. Good night. You need to speak. Definitely give us a call and we can talk. So give us the office a call. The number is going across the screen on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You'll see the number going across the screen. Give us a call. We answer 24/7. All right. Let's see. Can you apply for real ID with work permit and social while waiting for adjustment of status? No. But the work permit, a valid and unexpired work permit, can work as an alternative to the real ID. Good night. Is it safe to travel now under a conditional green card without any record? So here's what I'll say about that. The green card holders have the right to travel, but it's really up to you to figure out if you are at an increased risk. I can't tell you, yes, that's so good for you to travel because I'm not your attorney and I can't give you particular legal advice. But what I can say is that those who are at an increased risk are those with criminal records in their background, those who are going from 2 year to 10 year, and maybe they have some complications going on, those who've traveled outside of the United States for a lengthy period of time, those who may be in the process of traveling, they have discovered something in their background like fraud or misrepresentation in the past. Those are at an increased risk as well. What is an I-130 approval? So it's the marriage based, so family based or marriage based petition. That basically is the foundation of the marriage based process. Once that's approved, it's usually smooth sailing from there to get to the green card. The T visa bona fide determination time from filing until final determination. So right now we're seeing anywhere from 2 weeks to 12 weeks to get the just a receipt notice. And then 2 months after that is when they're 2 to 3 months is after that is when they're issuing the bona fide determinations. Went to AOS interview, but my husband didn't remember a zip code on phone number. Is that a denial? Not necessarily, but I would have to see the whole picture. It doesn't mean I would say no. I can't even remember my zip code half of the time. So I wouldn't say just a zip code would be a problem. But I don't know how the rest of the interview went. If that's just it, um, I would be surprised if they denied it just based on that. If someone who applied for a T visa is deported, can still continue with the process outside. So the thing with the T visa is it requires you to be present in the United States to show continuous presence. So it would those who get to come in are the family members who come in through the T visa derivative status. So it could possibly get harder, but there may be avenues. If someone with T visa is deported and wrongfully deported, then there could be avenues to get them back into the country. So those definitely they would have to explore those options. All right. What's the earliest and safest time you can start filing after marriage? I have filed for clients a day after they've gotten married. Um, and for some cases, we have waited, right, for them to gather evidence. I would say when you file, there's no time limit, but when you file, it's going to depend on do you have a strong case to submit. You make sure you have strong evidence of your bona fide marriage before sending. Don't just think you can fill out application, sign it without much else, and you're going to get an approval. Unfortunately, it's not that simple. So you have to make sure that you're constructing a really good, solid application for the officer to understand you qualify. What is a way to be in status for student if their studies completed and did not get any job? They'd have to evaluate their other options. So if not under OPT, then what other options? If your husband is unable to open a bank, what if your husband is unable to open a bank account? What other ways are you exchanging or sharing in financial commingling? It's really about you as a couple. So what are you doing as a couple? So, for example, I have represented couples that they don't commingle, they don't believe in it. But they, as I said before, they send money to each other to pay the bills. Or they put each other on the bills so that they can equally contribute to the bills, like the utility bills, the joint lease. These would be things that you would have to present to show. And then if you're sending money by Zelle to each other, you need to show that. If you say you may not have a joint bank account, but do you have a credit card that your spouse is on, that they're authorized to use, or vice versa, then that could be a good evidence as well. What other evidence do you have? If you don't do anything financial, say only one spouse does all the money stuff, the other spouse does not handle anything money, then what else is there that can show that you are a bona fide married couple? If you are a bona fide married couple, you are going to have something. I would say there's no valid marriage under the sun that where there is just nothing that you can show. Um, Sometimes abusive marriages are like that. So this is where I'd say that's a red flag. If there's a block where you cannot get anything joint with your spouse will not work with you, then at that point, I think I identify that as a red flag. And if you're being mistreated financially, or in other ways, if they're refusing to have you access anything because they want to control you, it's time to even think about another process like VAWA. But in most cases where we're going for the marriage based process, the spouses do have a number of documents to show something. I've had couples even show they're trying to have children right now. They're doing family planning, they're going to the doctors, they're doing what it takes to do family planning. They may not show the money side, but they show that side, that they're actually taking meaningful steps to build a life together through having children. So it really depends on what's going on in your marriage. Is it true that if you're married to a U.S. citizen, you not must get your green card? I think where no. So it's get marrying a U.S. citizen alone is not going to get your green card. You have to also show the marriage is real. So I think that's what you're saying. So if you go to the interview and you're not prepared as a couple, for that interview, they can still deny your application. Can someone that was married before and uh, they have their past husband's surname into their passport? Right. So, the surname I would say is sort of like the surname is cherry on top. So it's not a situation where they're going to just deny you because your last name is the same as your spouse's in the past. They may ask questions about it. You just have to be prepared to answer why maybe you didn't change that, why you were unable to, what you intend to do. I-130 approved after interview, but I-485 still pending. It's been 3 weeks. Check on your case, make sure they're not sending you anything. Will immigrants be somewhat safe if they are met by ICE and all they have is an EAD? I would say for them that definitely substantially increases your safety. So having a valid current EAD, ID, SSN means that you are identified as someone that has permission right now to get to be here. You can get your driver's license, your valid driver's license with a valid EAD. My husband is deployed and my interview is soon. What questions could they ask if it's just me? um, So they may ask the same questions that are usually standard. So they may, ask about the common questions. When did you meet? What are you and your spouse planning for the future? When it is your anniversary? They may ask questions about him being deployed. Um, so I would say just prepare for the average questions that they could ask. And if they're going to schedule a second interview, the answers to those questions, they may look back and see if it's going to match your spouse's, if your spouse should ever have to be involved in the interview process. My friend overstayed his visa because of illness and then filed for asylum. What are his chances? It depends on the facts. So, the chances just by telling me they filed for asylum, because so many people file for asylum and yet a small percentage actually get approved. So, what are the facts in their case? Can EAD, driver's license, SSN help for ICE to not detain one at their interview? It's possible. If they do find anything new that leads to any kind of misconduct, that could increase your chances of being detained. So just be mindful what's in your background so you fully understand. Is a bona fide the final benefit outcome? No, no, that's a type of relief you get while you wait. So that it puts a hold on removal, on any kind of ICE detention until you are able to get the final approval. All right, I'm gonna call it a day, everybody. Why is receipt taking so long? Their backed up applications are going in. So whenever this happens every year, and it usually happens because people are submitting a lot of applications during this time. Miss, good morning. I'm okay. If a person is already married in their home country and want to marry a US citizen for green card, is it valid? You have to divorce. You have to legally terminate the previous marriage before you get married to a US citizen. It's just a bank account we can't open due to some issues that he had with the bank prior to marriage. Okay. So, and I know sometimes other banks won't do the same because they have it on record. But if you have other ideas or you are working around it by sending each other money, that could be good evidence. Natalie, hi there. It's nice to see you. What are available options for unmarried stepchildren over 21 of US citizen? So through the US citizen, it's going to be very limited. It's still 5 to 7 year process. So and during that time, there's no right to adjustment of status to get the green card. So they should definitely give us a call and let's evaluate some options. I-130 approved in July 28, 2022, applied I-485 March 16, 2023. Whilst why still waiting? So it depends. If you're an F2A, then you might have a longer priority date, and that may be the hold up here. You may not have a current priority date. So you need to look into that. You can always give us a call and we can look into that to confirm, but that might be the issue. What is the legal way to stay in status after studies if OPT is not approved? You'll have to look at all your available options. Will having two kids help the case with approval? I'm not sure if two kids in a marriage based case, of course, having two kids with your spouse is definitely going to count. How long for approved for VAWA 2023 application? I'll say 3 years, so 2.5 to 3 years. And yes, it is going longer. So be very mindful of that. You can check the USCIS website to be able to see when those processing times are. All right, that's gonna be it for me, everybody. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate it. I will be back again tomorrow. So please look out for me, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can see when I come on. And when I come on, if you're available, you can come on too. Our line goes 24/7. So that means that you can call and you can schedule, do the initial evaluation, which is free. And then once we determine that you qualify to get our assistance and that we do have options available, we'll go ahead and jump straight into strategy and getting to work. So get started on it. I can't stress enough that timing is very important right now. So get on it. Make sure you're um, doing everything to empower yourself to understand what your options are. And that's what I do here. We focus on solutions one life at a time. That's what we're doing here. And in the past months, we have been continuing to do that and it's working. So get in touch with us if you want to see what your options are as well. Have a good night, everybody. Bye bye.